So in cybersecurity in general, and in medical device cybersecurity, there's not a lot of agreement. There's not a firm set of standards. There's not a one way to do things. There's not a simple solution. Even the word, there's a lot, we debated internally a lot whether it was cybersecurity one word, cybersecurity two words. Anyone have a guess? One word? Raise hands. Two words? Security of cyber? That's what I thought it was too. We went and changed all our documents, but as soon as we got marketing involved, they did inform us that we were wrong. So it is accepted now, at least in the US anyway. Cybersecurity, one word. So I lost, and we changed all our documents again. That's okay. We get a lot of media about cybersecurity. We're doing a social media campaign, and here's some cartoons we throw up. You may have seen them on Facebook, LinkedIn, our social media accounts, just to kind of get some awareness, some humor. So kind of here's the lifespan of cybersecurity and in medical devices. How did this happen? We know it happened quick. We know it happened late compared to our IT friends. But it really kicked off with Kevin Fu hacked a pacemaker. So he's a researcher at the UMass Amherst, and he found a way to hack into this device that was keeping someone's heart beating. And it was an interesting story. He published his paper, and that was kind of the birth of cybersecurity. Then we had some other people, a lot of patients who have been advocates for their own devices. We had the insulin pump hacker at a Black Hat conference where he hacked his own insulin pump, where he could have actually delivered a lethal dose of insulin to himself as a demonstration. But it really kicked off with an executive order in 2013. And in it, President Obama asked that all critical infrastructure have a cybersecurity plan. Just like they have a tornado plan, they have a flood plan. So all critical infrastructure needed it. And then consequently, hospitals are critical infrastructure, so they started to put together the cybersecurity plan. So the IT departments say, good, we got this. We've been doing IT for years. We know about cybersecurity. They started looking around their network, and they found all these things, the Internet of Things plugged in. And it was shocking how many devices and networks, there's back then biomed and IT were separate. They found biomed networks they didn't know were there, but separate, not under their control. So that really got the hospitals start to take an interest in what the medical devices were, what their security posture was. Then, of course, we have to regulate. If we have an executive order, it was kind of elected that the FDA should regulate cybersecurity, even though they know nothing about computers or security. They were the ones that had control of medical devices, so they decided they'd be the controlling agency. We got involved right around that time, about the end of 2013, 2014, and we went down to, they had a workshop, the FDA, about this pre-market guidance on what they wanted to give for the new rules of cybersecurity. And it was a 6-day conference and then a bunch of phone calls, and they eventually came out with their guidance on cybersecurity pre-market. That was in 2014. In 2016, they announced a post-market guidance to really add a little more meat to what you do after your fielded products. And then they just recently released a paper on what they're doing next. So Dräger decided they wanted to get in the cybersecurity business around 2014. And of course, they had some initial challenges. There was no department, no nothing. We knew we did some secure stuff because some customers were asking for it, but we really had no idea as a company and as an industry what cybersecurity was, what it meant. We couldn't hire experts in the field. Dräger tried for about a year and a half. Of course, there's no experts yet. It's a brand new industry. Medical device cybersecurity, there weren't any. Fortunately, they had a guy over in product management who used to work in IT that knew how to put together computers and could talk to IT people when they were mad in support cases. So he was offered an opportunity to start a new department and start a new program at Dräger. There was a lack of executive understanding. The executives knew that we had to do it. FDA was mad at us. Our customers were mad at us, our mature ones that had IT programs. We knew we had an aging product line. We have medical devices that are made 30 years ago. They're still out there. Well, the internet was barely invented then, right? We had no idea that these devices would live there. We had no internal processes for security. One thing medical device manufacturers are good at is processes. We have processes for everything, manufacturing with the FDA, filing all our paperwork, And we had a lot around safety, patient safety, ton of them, but we didn't have anything around security. And one of the mistakes early on that we made and other devices is tried to leverage our safety practices for cybersecurity. They don't line up, they're a little bit different. There aren't any good external standards. I can't point to a list of the 7 things you need to do for this medical device to make it safe. There aren't any. A bunch of cybersecurity myths out there we had to crush. And then at the same time, we decided we wanted to do business with the United States Department of Defense, and we had to pass something called DICAP, which is basically an accreditation program to be able to plug into the Department of Defense network. So we had to come in, make all our products ready, and get inspected by the Department of Defense. So they said, Scott, how would you like this job? And I said yes. So we started on our journey. I got hired. I moved my department. I was in product management, and I actually sat in both places, in product management and in development. I was the first person to do that, so I doubled my bosses as well as get a new job with no employees to work for me. So phase 1, I knew I had to get everyone on board. I had to raise awareness internally. I had to let people know that we were going to take on this new way of doing things, and it wasn't going to be a let's go through the checklist and be done. We were never going to be done with security, right? We're secure, we're done, right? That just doesn't happen. We had to educate everyone at all levels. Engineers that have been writing safe software, and engineers defining hardware to be safe, to go tell them that their baby that they've been worked on for 15 years isn't secure. They heard it's not safe, right? Instant argument. So we really had to find a way to talk about the safe versus secure. And don't forget to pass DICAP because we want to sell to the US government. So like any good marketing person, I started off using scary statistics. Emailing at this time, there were all kinds of them going around on, how 1 in 5 hospital records have been breached. Some would say half hospital records have been breached. There's a couple up there. That kind of raise awareness. The industry was doing the same thing. So every time I got one of those emails, I would forward it. I would be a guest speaker for any executive meeting that would let me come in, and I had a presentation on why is it important. But really what I had to convince them of, that it's not a project. We're very project-based. We can start a project now and in 20 years have a new device come out the other end, and we can predict when that's going to happen. What we're not good at is adopting new procedures that change the way we work. We have tried and true way of building things that have been around for decades, and that's what we're good at. And we're not that different than the other manufacturing agencies. But this is a process, so it's people, policies, architectures, and products. You can't buy your way out of security. The hospital just can't buy a firewall and be secure, right? We know that now. We just can't buy an encryption algorithm, throw it in our product, and be secure. It's more than that. We have to really have a full approach. So we did a lot of technical training at all levels. We did secure code training for developers. We wrote a cybersecurity 101 class that we basically gave to everyone in the United States, and we started another one over in our parent company in Germany. Just what is cybersecurity? What's it mean? What's a vulnerability? It really had nothing to do with medical devices at all. It just let people know what cybersecurity was. Some causes of what we taught is during the development life cycle, if you don't use secure coding best practices, you don't test for security, you're not applying updates. These are the things that I had to teach the people that we needed to do. And when we build products, when we plan for them, we have to design them to be secure. We can't bolt on security later. If you've ever seen the first robotic cars, when they tried to make them robotic, and they bolted on all this stuff that turned and pushed the gas, that's kind of what it's like when you're trying to bolt security on later. It just doesn't work like, it's not elegant, it doesn't behave like you expect. We didn't have any security requirements, and we didn't review the requirements regularly. We built something, as long as it stayed safe, we just would keep shipping it, just the way we did business. We also had a bunch of myths that I kept a running list of them, and this was in every one of my slides, and it updated and changed, and this is kind of what I ended up with, and some of them, fortunately, around Dräger seem funny today. They laugh, but at the time we were talking about them, we were having, I won't say arguments, but strong debates about the belief of security. Why would you hack a medical device? There's no reason, and why would that doesn't make sense at all, right? This is an embedded device. Have you guys heard that one from your medical device manufacturers? Yeah. See, and we were giving them out as well to customers, and it's just not acceptable. Security is the customer's responsibility. That's the hospital. They do that. They have security. They have IT departments. We're on a secure network, so as long as you keep the network secure, we'll be secure. Hospital.